You're the lawyer and a great one. I'm not. But this just seems to make Donald Trump look awful. Just awful. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Neil, today I thought that the committee focused a lot on linking the former president to this scheme to create the fake electors. And it seems to be a real theme that the committee members are trying to bring out in their statements and their questioning to show that the former president wasn't just a bystander, or that, people who work for him were trying to do this, but that the president was a central player in all of this. That really seems to be one of the themes that these committee members have been pounding on the last few hearings.
So look, let's be clear. That is Neil Cavuto. That is a Fox host who is admitting that this testimony is damning. And look, now we have to balance the fact that Neil Cavuto is not one of the most influential people at Fox. That is totally true. But also, Fox basically doesn't show, let alone cover, what's going on at these hearings. So having Neil Cavuto at least bring it up, let alone as critical a light as that. Like, he is saying that this is damning. He looks awful, which is totally true for a lot of different reasons. In particular, what they're focusing on there is that he clearly had been trying to get this scheme of the alternate electors cooked up, which is not a thing. You can't do that. It's not legal. But much more importantly, since all of this is supposed to hinge on whether what he thought he was doing was legal or not, whether it was based in truth or not, the testimony has made clear that people that he could have and should have trusted were making clear to him at every step along the way that none of this was legal, none of this made sense, they weren't gonna go along with it, and he kept pushing for it too. And that is where it gets into potentially really damning territory for Trump. Now, of course, his fallback defense is that he is a powerful, wealthy, white former president. So that's a pretty good defense against basically anything, JR. But the testimony has been really bad for him, and it's not done yet.
Yeah, there was this one thing, the way even Cavuto said that, and I don't want to nitpick on certain terms, but this is just the way our mindsets go when it comes to something like this with the former president, especially from this party. But he said, doesn't this make Trump look awful? Just awful. No, the January 6 hearings are not making Trump look awful. They're showing how awful Trump is. It's nothing about making him look that way. Making someone look that way means that you're taking information, you're like applying it to them and making them look a certain way. It's like makeup, and you're covering up his reality and making him look bad. No, what we're doing is taking the makeup off and showing how bad he was. From every detail, from how they planned and targeted and violently pushed this entire plan across, hopefully what they thought was gonna be the finish line. It's showing how awful they were. It's showing how illegal their actions were. It's showing how much they had no intention of following democracy in the way that we normally do things. It's all about Donald Trump.
100%. And again, like, it's so weird. If you're just coming into this now, that so much of this has to come down to, well, did he know for sure that he couldn't do that? Did he believe in his heart of hearts that he'd actually won against all odds? Like, none of that should matter literally at all. But for some reason, in this very particular case with these particular crimes, even as high as the stakes are, which is so much infinitely higher than the vast majority of all other crimes, that matters. So I want to give just a little bit more from what their back and forth was. So Neil Cavuto went on to say, if you knowingly make statements you know aren't true and they're proven untrue, and yet you still make the statements, which has been demonstrated in this, that he kept doing that, maybe because you're totally and personally convinced you're on the right and they're on the wrong, which could be his psychological defense since he doesn't trust anyone. At what point does that cross a constitutional line and maybe a legal one? And the lawyer that he brought, a former White House lawyer, says it can cross a legal line if you're making those false statements in conjunction with the certification of an election, or you're trying to corrupt the count or things of that nature. He added that it can be shown that Trump, quote, believed or knew or understood, that if it can be shown that he believed or knew or understood that his claims didn't have merit and yet went ahead with this, then he's in real trouble. Well, we are so far past that at this point. Like, he knew that what he was doing was not legitimate. There was no case to be made that that is not the case. The only thing that we need to figure out is, will the DOJ, will Merrick Garland do something? And I have obviously been, I've been, very unsure about that, very pessimistic. Recently, Merrick Garland decided to flee to a different country. He's off in Europe right now. He wants to get as far from this thing as possible. Granted, there's some stuff going on in Ukraine. Anyway, so that worries me a little bit, JR.
Yeah, I'm trying not to be as pessimistic as I have been on this, but I'm super pessimistic on it. The more we see it, the more I'm thinking, oh my God, they can't possibly let this go beyond at least doing something, at least in some form of indictments. They have to suggest these things. But man, again, I'm gonna sit with believe it when I see it. And right now we just have to see what this is. And if it doesn't happen that way, it's gonna be written off easily as, oh yeah, these Democrats did this whole entire January 6th committee hearing, which of course there's 2 Republicans on board as well. And it was just them trying to win an election, because the follow through on the legal part of it has to be the next step.
Yeah. Does anyone remember, I'm trying to make this easier to understand outside of the context of this complicated stuff about the Constitution and law and all that. Does anyone remember when Ross had a relationship with one of his students and he got fired, even though he believed that it was just frowned upon? It's very clear that he believed that it was just frowned upon. In fact, I have videos of him saying it many times. So why did he still get fired? Sure, he broke the rules, but he thought it was just frowned upon. He didn't think it was illegal. Think about that, like how low the stakes are. You would never get away with anything like this if you thought it was okay. Doesn't make any sense. Man, our justice system is 180, like it doesn't make any sense. Everything is topsy-turvy. Anyway, hold on. Sophie reminds me, it was pretty high stakes because her dad was Bruce Willis and he could have beat up Ross. That is, I forgot that that's who that character was. Wait, is that who's Bruce Willis' dad? Was it? I thought that was a different student. Anyway.
Are we talking Friends, or which Ross are you talking about?
Yes, I'm talking about Friends. This is the only reference I've ever made to Friends. And then Rachel dated Bruce Willis. We're going too deep into the canon of Friends at this point. Anyway, what is coming on the January 6th hearings? Well, potentially some exciting stuff. We might have to wait a few days. We might have to wait maybe a few weeks, but some exciting stuff is in fact coming. Documentary film director Alex Holder was apparently shooting tons of footage during the former president's failed 2020 campaign. He was with Trump and the family. That footage, which has never seen the light of day, has now been subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. And the Rolling Stone reports, by the way, Nikki McCann Ramirez, who's been on our show a couple times, now with the Rolling Stone, doing great reporting there already. So awesome job for her. In some of the highest ranks of the Trump world diaspora, including among several who testified before the January 6th committee, news of the documentarian cooperating with the congressional panel came as a bizarre surprise. What the F is this? A former top Trump 2020 official messaged Rolling Stone on Tuesday after seeing it. So that is potentially coming. Now, we also know that after this Thursday, so we're gonna get some of the hearing discussion this Thursday. After this, the committee is gonna resume its hearings in July. They say they're reassessing their schedule after significant new tranches of evidence have arrived, including documentary footage and new tips as well. So if this person was hanging out with them, filming Trump, and we know all the stuff Trump revealed to like people, like authors who are embedded with him, he's gonna be on video in this thing. It is gonna be dramatic, delightful news.
It's like, it's not gonna get much better than this. It's similar to what the documentarian did on the first days of the hearings, when he talked about how he was embedded with the Proud Boys and openly showed how they planned and intimately planned how they're gonna get into the Capitol and force certain things. And yes, they were the first breach moments, and they knew that the rest of MAGA would be right behind them. It was all a plan. They spoke on camera. They talked about this dark deal in the middle of a parking garage. It doesn't get more movie-like than this.
Yeah, 100%. Oh God, I hope the footage is good. And I also have to wonder, like, why don't they have it yet? It has been a year and a half. Get this stuff out there. And by the way, one of the reasons I hope that the footage is good is because that's probably all we're gonna get from this. We're not gonna get consequences, so I at least hope we have some good video.
Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.